All right, Shalom. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakadash, double honors to apostles of the GMS, and sincere Shalom to the brothers out there pushing this truth and sincerity, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. And what I have here is basically a thing that I've been seeing ever since I was young, and probably going back before I was even born, was the infamous climate change. And I always wondered why was that why is climate change such a big thing if it technically never happens? Little did I know it had always been happening. And it's funny because climate change, when it comes to the commercials, as they like to portray it, is just a branch of, as they like to go into the icy areas, a just a branch of ice just falls off the landscape, and then that's it of the commercial. It just keeps going up, keeps going even up to this day. And I'm like, so you just want to show one piece of ice just falling into the water, showing and then claiming it's climate change, when naturally it does that anyways. That's with or without climate change. The real climate change is has been going on here in various other places, believe it or not. When funny enough, the weather, like compared to 10 years ago, I would say like 10, 12 years ago when I was a child, summer wasn't that bad. It wasn't always that this hot as it is now. You get up to this year or even a couple years back, it's hot all the way around. I started noticing it when I was in high school when spring was even hot, when fall was even hot. It would start getting cold near the end, and then when winter would come, it's not as cold as it would used to be when I was a child. It wouldn't snow now for some reason. Back when I was a child, it would snow a hell of a lot when it was like when winter came. Now you barely get snow here, at least where I live here in Maryland. So we barely get snow here. So now they talking about climate change here, there in Europe for extreme weather. I'm like, and now they talking about they getting cases of fire everywhere, and I'm like, this is that climate change right now, especially for the actual frozen areas that actually do shave off a bit of ice. Now they're just melting the ice. The weather, the atmosphere, the earth itself is not healed. It's in pain because of Esau. And this is what we get when our rulers, I'm talking about these rats, are in charge. You get this mess. You get Esau just destroying everything. He, as the elders has said it before, he has not been a good host to this world. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip for a little bit. It's gonna be pretty short, even though it says 15. I'm not playing the whole thing, but I'm just getting to the main point.
2 days after the IPCC called climate change a code red for humanity, Europe has recorded, if confirmed, its highest ever temperature. 48.8 degrees Celsius has been recorded in Sicily. Temperatures were rising throughout the day, leading to the government to declare a state of emergency. Tonight, we'll focus on how worried we should be by today's mercury-busting record and ask how prepared is Europe as things get hotter and hotter. The situation in Italy comes hand in hand with Greece facing an unprecedented natural disaster, the words of the Greek Prime Minister, as the world watches the more than 580 wildfires which have burned across the country since last month. Well, with me in the studio is the meteorologist Scott Duncan. But let's start tonight by crossing to Sicily and joining Fabio Basili, a Manchester resident who's visiting family on the island. Thank you so much for joining us, Fabio Basili. Describe the atmosphere where you are.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, absolutely. It's really hot. Today has been incredibly hot. Starting this morning, as soon as I got up, I saw the temperature was about 50 degrees in the balcony. which is unbearable. It's really difficult to breathe. So even going outside, it has a sort of warm wind, almost like a Scirocco wind, and it makes it really, really hard to breathe. It's been really extreme.
And tell me, how are people reacting, and have there been any pieces of advice from the authorities?
Not at the moment. No, only for the elderly to stay inside and cool down. The infrastructure is a little bit old and dated, and we can only rely on the aircon system that we have in some of the homes. So luckily where I live, we have aircon, but clearly it's not the best solution for the planet.
So the aircon is on all the time at the moment?
It is, probably about 24/7, to be honest, because you cannot live without it. Even fans or anything like that, just not enough to cool down the room.
Now, you have been used to, you come from Sicily, though you live here, you've been used to warm temperatures in the summer. But do you think now you've got a change of mindset about how healthy it is to have extreme heat? Well, obviously you didn't expect it to be quite as hot as this, but you've seen temperatures rising.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I was here, I left the country 18 years ago, but I come back every summer. And I do remember how different it was in the past years, to be honest. And this year alone, we've seen a massive rise of temperature starting from around June, which is kind of unusual. They usually start around July, August.
Thank you very much, Di Fabio, for joining us.
Now I never knew. I don't know how much Celsius ever was, but 47 degrees Celsius is 116.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and we, at least where I live, or even a lot of the part of the U.S., has been in the 90s. I can only imagine the 116s, and he's saying that, at least I believe he said it in the clip, that you can't even hardly breathe out there. And you're getting all sorts of heat waves. It's being hot in other areas. And and I'm going to go into this because we've been having these unnatural things happen, because you get fires out of nowhere. It causes massive rains, even floods and other things that happens. So those are things always to be aware of, because this is what it leads to. And it's the Lord that's ultimately doing it. So this is Luke 21:11. It says, "And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places." And the earthquakes is just not talking about earthquakes, which, as the brothers like to brothers go into, is really a disease or dis-ease to put the people out of comfort. But this even goes literally as well as for fires, forest fires, actual earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis. And when reading past the scripture, it says famines and pestilence, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. And this is what those earthquakes shall be in diverse places equate to. This is what it leads to. It leads to fear. It leads to seeing all these other things that set people in disarray, set these people in discomfort. And this is, as it says, and great signs shall there be from heaven. Again, this was ultimately the Lord doing all this. This is a great sign that he's on his way back. This is just one of the great signs. There's been many great signs, and the Lord's been keeping us in the spirit ever since. It's always been that in that case. This is Job 9:24. It says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" So, because this earth was given to him, he's made a mess out of the earth. And the Lord did it because he knew Esau would be a terrible host to it. because we messed up. And our people still mess it up. But he's only here for the elect of his people. And we're the ones that needs to make sure we're being right. But all these over extreme heats, and then you get the over extreme colds. You get a lot of rain areas that don't usually rain there. Because now the rain that usually happens here don't happen that often. Now they shift to a whole bunch of heat. And then you get certain areas that's really hot, and then all of a sudden they catch it on fire. Never happened before, but now it's happening now. So the Lord's shaking the entire earth to where every element is freaking random now. And that's the power of the Lord, because not even Esau can actually fully manipulate the elements. Not like the Lord can. Esau tries to set up these programs, these hot programs. They try to control the weather, but he can't. This is ultimately the Lord's power on that. This is Romans 12:19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. And that's exactly why the Lord is even showing his power and great signs with these elements. Because we can't avenge ourselves. We as much as we get angry at Esau for messing up the earth, for how he twisted our own people, the Lord's saying I'm doing all this. The vengeance is actually mine, because he raised up his hand and I made him do it. And now in kindle my anger, I'm gonna pay him back in it. And that's exactly what the Lord is saying. Like he said, I will repay. I'm the one in charge. That's all it is to it. The Lord showing his anger through all the elements, disrupting Esau's plans. And it's a big game. It's like how you see even in the movies, like you really like a character, and then you find out he dies, you're the one that's angry and wants to get revenge on the guy that died. I've seen people that actually get mad about that type of stuff, and it happens. It's the same way with the Lord. This is not new. The Lord showing his power through all of this. These places are becoming uncomfortable. People are going wild. People killing each other. More freak show parades are coming out, and then somehow it's funny enough, the Lord's putting the spirit on that to even get banned in other countries now. So this is basically going to become a big, crazy free for all. Now I'm starting to see why this is going to be the time in history where this is going to be the hardest fall of any empire. Because now I'm starting to see how, and this is probably not even scratching the surface of it, but we see how this is turning out. Not just for here in Babylon, but for pretty much everywhere. This place is just not only affected, every place is affected because of this place. So that's the hardcore double whammy of the story. Because this doesn't just end with just Babylon. Mind you, the elect is just not only here in Babylon, but all across the four corners of the earth. This just has to be the main wickedness. But with that main wickedness spread to other branches of the country, of the world. Which means all the other worlds are going to be, all the other countries are going to be affected. But that's pretty much all I have to go on into that. So with that, this is a little edifying. And with that, shalom.